about something that is actually a very integral part of your hair care journey. All right, so today we're going to be talking about trimming, how to trim, why you should trim. So I know that you guys are thinking, why should I be trimming my hair? It's gonna just make it shorter. My hair only grows about a 1/4 inch a month. So why are we going to trim our hair? So I want you to do something for me, okay? I want you to just take a piece of your hair, if you can, and I just want you to look at the ends, and I want you to tell me in the comments below what you see. Now, looking at my hair, I can see some split ends, I can see some single strand knots, I can see some, ends that are just looking kind of dead, and that's because I'm stretching it, it's been about a month, since I should have trimmed, so it's been about 5 months because I trim every 4 months. But trimming is based on the individual. If you put your hair in a lot of protective styles, maybe you don't need to trim as much. So I would encourage you to look at your hair, look at it every month and just see, oh, I think my hair is gaining more single strand knots, it's gaining more split ends, it's feeling a bit dry and crunchy on the ends. Those are the things you're looking for when you're deciding whether or not it's time for you to trim your hair. The other thing is that I know that some people say that, single strand knots and split ends, they are just things that are natural with your hair journey. These are things that you can trim them away. Yes, you can make sure that you have the sharpest scissors so that you reduce the amount of split ends that you have after you trim, which is very important. But just know that split ends and single strand knots are just a natural thing. They occur and they accumulate. As much as you will trim them away, you will see them come right back. Because split ends, they just happen. And this is why we need to trim. We need to take care of the ends of our hair. The other thing is that just because you trim your hair, it's not going to mean that all of a sudden your hair is just going to grow like a weed. It's just making sure that you see less breakage and that you actually retain more length. Now, again, why are we trimming our hair if we want to retain length? The more knots and strands that you have at the ends of your hair, the more your hair is going to tangle, the more your hair is going to break off. The more you're going to struggle with it, the more you're going to break it off. So in the long run, trimming is a good thing. You trim away the dead parts of your hair, the oldest parts of your hair, and you trim them away, and then you have fresh ends to start off with for another couple of months until the split ends and the single strand knots start to accumulate again. So trimming is a good thing. The more you trim, the less you will have all those knots and tangles and breakage. Now, another thing is, don't go overboard with your trimming. You shouldn't be trimming your hair every month. There's simply no reason for it. As soon as you grow that 1/4 inch a month, you're gonna trim it right back away. So that doesn't make sense. But like I said in the beginning, if you go ahead and make sure that you're checking your hair, checking to see, oh, I think I see a lot more single strand knots, oh, my ends are, they're feeling a bit crunchy, that is when you get the time to trim. Now that is a recommended about every 4 to 5 months, but it is also dependent on the individual and the type of hairstyles that you're doing. So just go ahead and take that as a little bit of a note, but you should still be trying to make your own trimming schedule. So there are several methods when it comes to trimming your hair. Some of the more popular methods include trimming your hair in twists. So when you're trimming your hair in twists, you literally just go ahead, you would find the part where your twist gets a little bit straggly, and that is when you would trim that part off. This is one of the quicker methods to trim your hair. It's one of the easier methods. Your hair is already usually in a style. You can see clearly where your hair gets a bit thinner at the end of the twist, and that's one of the more popular methods for trimming your hair. Another method for trimming your hair is doing a curl by curl cut. So that's more so for your looser curl type naturals out there, because I know if you're trying to trim this as a kinky natural, you might be sitting there looking at me a little bit crazy. But for your looser curls, you could definitely pull out a curl. You could go curl by curl and you could trim off the ends, and you'll also be able to maintain the overall curl health of your hair while making sure that you also kind of retain the look that you have when your hair is loose and curly. This is also why I say to do it dry, because when you cut your hair when it's dry, you already know how it's going to look in future hairstyles. So you can keep your style, you can keep the type of cut you want. Or if you're looking for more of a straight cut, maybe you just like to have your hair straightened and just evened out, then you could also do a blowout and then you can trim your hair then. This is a little bit of an easier method when it comes to making sure that all of your hair is lined up evenly. And this is also so that you can also really easily get to the ends of your hair and just trim off a little bit and see that you're trimming all of the same length. Another method, but it's a little bit time consuming, is called the search and destroy method. So this is when you literally go through a little section of your hair and you find each and every single strand knot, each and every split end, and you cut them out individually. So in this way, you are retaining the most length for your hair, but it also takes the longest amount of time because you are going strand by strand and leaving the strands without any issues and finding the strands that have all of the things that we're looking for on them. This is also a method that you could do more often just because you're going for specific strands. If you're doing any of the other cuts where you're just trimming off a certain amount of your hair at the ends, I still wouldn't recommend trimming it every month. Even the search and destroy method, I would say to look for maybe every 2 to 3 months, maybe not every 4 to 5, but you still shouldn't be trimming your hair on a monthly basis. Now, if you're trimming your hair for the first time in a long time, maybe it's your first time trimming, maybe you haven't trimmed it in about a year. I know some of us, we get lazy, we get busy, we don't want to see our hard work go to waste, maybe you should go ahead and do a very intense trim. What that means is you're going to be probably trimming a good amount of your hair off. So if you go ahead and feel along the length of your hair strand, you will be able to feel a portion of your hair where it gets a little bit of a different texture. It feels rough, and that's where you would want to trim your hair. Now, this is your hair, so you can trim it wherever you want. If you find that, you could trim half of it. If you think it's too much, you could trim another half at another point. But you should still probably go through and do a more extensive trim than what I'm going to show you today. I trim my hair regularly, so I only trim off a little bit of the ends, and then if I find anything else. So the scissors I'll be using today are these scissors right here. These are Conair scissors. You can find them at Walmart. But these are sharp scissors, and you want to make sure that you get yourself sharp scissors, or else you're going to cause yourself to have more split ends than what you started with. So these scissors right here, like I said, they're from Conair. They also have micro serrated edges, so they're pretty good, and they come with a case so that I can keep them nice and sharp. And you don't use your trimming scissors for anything else, otherwise you're going to make them blunt, and then there's no point. If you're going to trim your hair, I cannot stress this enough, do not get scissors that are just lying around the house to trim your hair with. There is no point in trimming your hair if they are not sharp scissors, because like I said, they will cause you more split ends at the end of the trim, and you will have undone all of the work that you just put in. Okay, so now we're going to get into the actual trimming segment of the video. Now, I know you guys see that I have my hair in twists already, so this would be the quickest and easiest way for me to do this. But actually, the way that I like to trim my hair is I like to take it out of a stretched hairstyle, and I like to spread it out and really see what I'm working with. So I will just show you guys just in case. So you see right here, we have a segment that just kind of dwindles out. All right, you see that? That's where we would want to trim if we were trimming it in twists. Now what I'm gonna do, so I'm gonna take this twist out. I know guys, I'm gonna destroy a perfectly good twist out. We'll see how it goes. But I like to take this twist out. And I kind of like to spread it out a little bit. And then I like to take the whole hair strand and kind of take it right down to the ends. So now I can really clearly see what I'm getting at cutting. If I was doing the search and destroy method, this would also be the best method to do this trim, because you can see you have already sectioned out here and you can see exactly what you're working with and what you're trying to get at. So again, I like to go straight to the ends, and I can see where it gets a little bit funky, and that's where I'm gonna trim my hair. Now, you guys don't have to trim as much as I just trimmed, but the ends definitely look a bit better now, and I'm okay with that. I also like to say that when I'm trimming my hair, I like to trim it in the direction that I twisted it. So you see this one, I trimmed it in the front because this is the way that it falls when I'm doing twist outs and such. Since these are the majority of my hairstyles, I like to keep my twist out look, so that's why I trim it this way.
Alright, so for demonstration purposes, I'm going to be showing you the next two trims here. This is the search and destroy method. You just go straight for each little knot that you see, any ends that you think looking a little scraggly, and that's what you trim. For the blowout method, this is my blown out strand here, and I will literally feel along the strand, and I'll feel until it gets a little bit crunchy. You can also see that your blowout won't be as smooth at that point, and that's where I'll go right in and just trim it. And that's the end of that. Your hair is evened out and you've done your trim.
Okay, so I've finished trimming my hair now, and as you can see, I don't have as many single strand knots or split ends. It may seem really scary to trim your hair and get rid of all those dead ends that you really need to get rid of. But trust me, once you do it, your hair will thank you for it. I'm also going to be putting my hair up in a protective style soon. I'm going to be sealing my ends in. So my hair is really going to be thankful that I trimmed away all the things that are making it break. So let me know in the comments if you guys are gonna trim your hair, and just give me an estimate. How much time do you go without a trim before you're like, it's enough, I have to trim it, it's got to go? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next video.